Some people are incurious, and that's fine. Not everybody has to wonder at the machinations of what happens beneath the thermocline, but not you. You know that there's something interesting going on in there, and you don't mind getting your hands dirty, getting your feet wet, getting up off your duff, putting on your shoes every single day because, by God, the whole world's changing. The world went and moved our cheese when ain't nobody was expecting it, and that's why we have to go live for office hours. Hello, you beautiful people. Today is day 165. 165, by the way, that's the number of days of gestation for the egg of an emerald tree monitor. Happy birthday, emerald tree monitor. Office Hours is, of course, the check-in across all 5 fandoms: Modern Rogue, Scam School, LinkedIn, X, and, of course, the hardest of the hardcores, the elites, the Diamond Club, over at twitch.tv/Night Attack. We continue our quest to keep the signal alive. You guys know that Scam School was what put me on the map, the only show dedicated to social engineering at the bar and on the street. We keep it alive with Scam School, the only show dedicated to social engineering at the bar and on the street. And as we always do, we're going to jump right in with the full program of the second half of that incredibly prescient, powerful, important presentation I did at South by Southwest all the way back in 2009, coming up on 20 years ago. Can you believe that shit? Anyway, we're going to watch all of How to Scam Your Way into Anything Part 2. Post your questions in the chat, and then I will reveal behind the scene notes when we end. Here we go. Scam your way into anything. Last week, we left you hanging, promising to teach you the 3 different types of Scam School scams. This week, we deliver the goods. This episode of Scam School has 2 mommies, GoDaddy and Netflix. Welcome to the show that'll still respect you in the morning, Scam School, the only show dedicated to social engineering at the bar and on the street. I'm your host, Brian Brushwood, and we are back with the second half of my South by Southwest panel, Social Engineering, Scam Your Way into Anything or From Anybody. First one is an opener. These are tricks that are highly visual. You don't care if they're paying attention or not because they do themselves, and it doesn't matter if somebody's engaged or not. For example, I'm going to do one that we actually just taught a couple months ago on Scam School. This is the kind of thing you could do with a drink stir at a bar. But do me a favor, buddy. I got 9 4.5-inch nails here. Reach forward and choose one of those bad boys. Go ahead, which one of those you want to use? Go ahead and pull it out. Pull it out. Wiggle it out. Use both hands. There you go. Using both hands, I want you to try to bend that nail. Tell me, does that nail bend at all? No, of course not. Push it into your palm. Not through your palm, but into it. Verify. There we go. I'm going to watch very closely. I'm going to take that from you. Not going to do any switcheroos, no fake nails, none of that tricky David Blaine BS. We're going to show you guys, this is a feat that started in the sideshow almost 100 years ago, originally called the human blockhead. I like the waves of response. Here we go. All right, now some people think that this is some kind of trick nail, but I assure you, it's not. That's right, that was a booger joke. Screw you bastards. Here we go. The human blockhead. There we go, and at this point I'd have somebody reach forward and actually pull it out. Now this is something so unexpected, so visual, so amazing. First thing people are going to do is ask you to repeat it for their friend. Never, ever repeat anything. Once is a trick, twice is a lesson. So then instead what you do is you move on to the second phase. You move on to tweeners here. Tweeners are more interactive. This is your chance to build rapport and get to know the person that you're talking to. Once you actually have them asking you to do tricks, then you're able to move to the next phase. For example, I want every single one of you, hands forward. Put your hands forward just like so. Everyone put your hands forward. There we go. Good job, good job, good job. Touch your thumbs down just like this, just like this. What I love is I didn't say to do this thing with your thumbs, but you guys are all swinging like testicles down here. That's kind of cool. All right, here's what I want you to do. Take your left arm, that's this one. Take your left arm and put it over your right arm just like so. Everyone clasp them together. There we go. And I want all even you bastards in the back. This is going to be good. All right, on the count of 3, you do as I do. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You got to pay attention. We're going to move fast here. All right, well, let's try another one. Almost everybody here, we ran out, so we don't have enough for everyone, but just about everyone here should have underneath their seat a magical enchanted washer from Atlantis tied to unicorn thread. These are highly expensive. How many of you guys have them? Hold up if you have one. Okay, good, just about. If you don't have one, if you have you can use your badge, you can use a necklace, it doesn't really matter. I just thought I'd make it easy for you guys. We're going to do something called Chevreul's pendulum. And the idea here is I want you to imagine that we're going to use our magical washers to contact an ancient spirit from Atlantis who goes by the name of Bob. So everyone hold it in your right hand, hold your left hand out, palm up just like so underneath. And I want you to hold it still, right? Don't move anything, but I want you to imagine that you ask Bob a question. And he's going to answer by saying yes. And he'll say yes by using his ghost hand to move that pendulum forward and backwards on its own. So I want you to visualize, picture it moving forward and backwards on its own. Some of you guys, it's going to work right away. Some of you, it'll take a little time. But all of you, it's going to start moving forward and backwards on its own. How many guys is working? Hands in the air. Yeah. All right, now I want you to imagine he changes his mind. Now he's going to say no. He's going to say no by moving it in a circle. So I want you to imagine it moving in a circle. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. How many guys is working? Hands in the air. Good job. All right, how many guys believe we just contacted Bob from Atlantis? Time machines for all of you. Yeah, this is an effect. This is actually the fundamental premise. It's called the ideomotor response, and it's how all forms of dowsing works. We did a scam school on it. You can check that out if you want to see it. And finally, we've got payoffs. These are the most important ones because you spent 10, 15 minutes getting to know someone, giving somebody something for free, so you're giving them value, expecting reciprocation. A payoff is a challenge or an unbeatable puzzle that relies on some moment where you get somebody to promise, either for real or jokingly, to give you something of value. And because once they use that phrase, once they say, oh yeah, I'll buy you a drink, something called social proof, people like to remain consistent with who they believe they are. And if they say the words, I will buy you a drink, it's very unlikely that they will renege on that. And besides, you couldn't force them to buy you a drink anyway. So here's what I'm going to show you guys a quick example of the kind of payoff routine that we would do. And I'm going to infect all you guys because for the remainder of South by Southwest, every time you sit down for dinner, you're going to insist on trying this to see if it works with the glasses at your table. Let's go ahead and kill the lights and we'll show this right here. Here we go. There we go. You got $1, you got $1, you got $1. All right, hold on to them here for a moment. The question is, which do you think is more, the circumference around the top of the pint glass or the height from the top of the glass all the way down to the bar? So what do you say? You think the circumference or more is the height?
I say the height.
You say the height. So we're going to start a height pile right there. Which is more, the height or the circumference?
I fucking hate Kenny.
The circumference. All right, so it's 3-2. Pretty good. Now we're going to try to mix up the odds, and I grabbed some decks of cards. You can use packs of cigarettes here, but now we're going to make it a little more interesting. Now take a look at this. Let's get a close-up here. Now the question is, the same circumference, right? But now we've added 3 decks to the height. So the height from here all the way down. You're gonna go to height? All right, so we'll take 1 out of the circumference and go to height. How about you? You're holding. All right, interesting. Interesting. All right, so I tell you, let's go ahead and do it again. How about now? All right, now we're talking about right here, the circumference right up here, all the way on down. All right, so you jumped up. You guys both jumped ship. Talking about this all the way down, and I am going to be the lone idiot who votes for circumference. You ready for this? I'm going to be as fair as I can with this. There we go. Right? Fair?
Oh.
Still, you chicken out too early. Can you believe that? A pint glass is almost a foot around on the top, and there's some weird defect of the human brain that makes you look at that and say there is no way that is almost.
It's always better than length.
That's right. Let's hear it for girth over length. Hey, nicely done. All right, guys. So that's the circumference versus height scam. You guys can play that on your friends. Let's take a quick break and thank the people who make these scams possible.
Oh,
all right.
hold on.
This week for your Netflix homework, we're gonna combine.
What? Guys, did you know there's a thing called Netflix? I can't believe such a thing. That's crazy. And now he skips it. There we go.
www.netflix.com/scamschool. Make sure to put the wwws at the beginning or we don't get credit for the sale and you don't get any more scam schools. Finally, we're going to move to the third and most important of the psychological backdoors. This is one that is so powerful, it is the most prone to abuse by con men. As a matter of fact, this is the idea that people have a tendency to respond to figures and the trappings of authority. One guy who took incredible advantage of this was with the legendary con man, Frank Abagnale. Frank Abagnale, he was the guy that Catch Me If You Can was about, if you read the book or saw the movie. He figured out at a very young age that he could pass the most obviously bogus checks if he was dressed as a pilot or as a doctor, because these figures are authority figures and nobody bothered to question what they had to say. He traveled all over the world, cashed over $1 million of checks. It's an amazing story. You should read it. I'm going to skip over this stuff. Social psychologist Leonard Bickman wanted to find out how hard it is to resist requests from figures of authority. So he had a guy go up and down the street just giving out random orders. Walk up and down and say, hey, you, pick up that trash. Hey, you, stand on the other side of that sign. Half the time he was dressed in plain clothes, and the other times he was dressed in a security guard costume. And amazingly, when he was dressed in street clothes, 42% of the time people did what he said. The majority were like, bug off, weirdo. But 92% of people immediately complied when he was wearing a security guard costume. Even though he's out on the street, the security guard's doesn't have any jurisdiction over that area, but people fell into line and obeyed. As a matter of fact, the further testing right here in Texas shows that the uniform that would get people to comply can only be a simple well-tailored suit. If you look like a politician or a CEO, that's as good as dressing in a uniform. For example, the way they did this is they had a busy intersection. They found a bunch of people who were waiting to cross the street. And they would send a guy to just go jaywalking across. And sometimes he was dressed in a nice three-piece suit, and sometimes he was dressed in some work clothes. And then they would count how many people followed him as he initiated the rebellion. 3 times as many people followed the guy when he was dressed in a suit as when he was wearing work clothes. So now, keep in mind, and now obviously looking at the way I dress and the character I play on the show and on stage, you know, I'm not big on 3-piece suits, but I still want a piece of that authority pie. So the way I get it is by laying a trap with my business card. This thing is nothing but an authority black hole, because right from the fancy pictures, nobody reads any of these goddamn awards I won. They just see the laurel wreaths and they're like, oh, he's won awards, and then they say, oh, you've been on Jay Leno, and which always sounds kind of gay to me. I was on his show, just to be clear. But as a matter of fact, look at this. Remember what I said at the beginning. I have no qualifications whatsoever. I am a magician up here on stage. The only reason I'm on stage right now giving this presentation is because I host a show on the internet called Scam School. And the only reason I host a show called Scam School is because I wrote a book called Cheats, Cons, Swindles, and Tricks, 57 Ways to Scam a Free Drink. Who is the genius that published this book? This guy. It's a house of cards, right? And what's amazing is I've handed out 10,000 copies of Cheats, Cons, Swindles, and Tricks, and not one person has ever questioned who the publisher was of this book. But the appearance of authority and the trappings of it are what people respond to. Probably should not have just said all that. All right, and while we're on the subject of credentials, pretty much all concert credentials, super easy to fake. The people who are doing the deciding are people who work at the venue. They see a different band every single day. They don't really care. They just want to go home and get laid. Just go online, find out what the tour poster looks like, slap the words all access in Photoshop, and you'll probably get through. Truth is, these guys aren't even looking at the badges most of the time. I'll explain why in a moment. But first of all, if you're crazy about badges, you can get badges that say just about anything. As far as I know, there's not really a government designation of authorized auto repossessor. But that does look very official and get people, sorry man, I'm taking your car. Oh, official you say. All kinds of different badges, but once you get in, the guys who are working concert venues, half the time they're not even looking at badges. What they're looking at is posture. They're looking at the way you carry yourself. They are looking for the symbols of confidence and authority, and you can take advantage of all those. If you want to take advantage of authority, pay attention to the way you're dressed, pay attention to your movement, your speech patterns. You can use your credentials to open the door. Don't rely on them repeatedly. Once you get that initial flash, it's really about whether or not you act like you belong there. And as a matter, you know, by the way, there's a sales technique. Salesmen know this all over the place. The person who asks the questions owns the conversation. And try this. Next time you're out with somebody and you want to see what it's like, just keep asking questions. The moment they answer one, ask them another one, ask them another one, and keep asking as you're walking by them and say, you take care, and then that's it. You own the conversation. While we're on the subject of credentials, I suppose for legal reasons we have to present what is very likely a completely hypothetical story that may or may not have taken place right here in Austin, Texas, 15 years ago when I was at the University of Texas. Theoretically, in this story, a very young Brian Brushwood, 20 years old. Brian was 20, and all of his friends were 21, which was a real bummer when all of his friends wanted to go out to a bar or a club, and Brian, unfortunately, he couldn't rely on his social engineering skills because he looked exactly like a 12-year-old boy. No way I'm convincing someone that I'm 21. And at the time, even though this is an older license, there's still, you can't see them here, but there's all kinds of watermarks on the laminate, and very difficult to fake one of these back at the time. Besides, little Brian had no money. But then one of his roommates went to get his license replaced. And in many places, this is still the case. I think it might actually still be the case in Texas, but they don't give you your ID right away. When you go in, you say, hey, I need a new ID. They give you one of these, a temporary license, a piece of paper that says, use this for the next 6 weeks. And it occurred to me that that looked pretty easy to fake. I mean, hypothetically. So went online, hypothetically, grabbed the state seal of Texas, used the same font, and had a piece of paper that said Brian Brushwood is 21 years old. And the theory that little Brian Brushwood may or may not have had was that if he had one piece of paper that said Brian Brushwood was 21, and another piece of paper like a student ID that said this 12-year-old was Brian Brushwood, that together he would be able to spend time with his friends. And hypothetically, it worked. So there. All right, let me wrap things up here. I'm going to do one more experiment, and then we're going to take questions. If you guys have any questions about the stuff I've talked about or stuff on Scam School, let me say a brief word about situational awareness. These are not one-size-fits-all tools. You got to be aware of the person that you're dealing with. There's some fantastic books out there that talk about reading body posture, paying attention to people's eye dilations and their nonverbal cues. The best book, in my opinion, was written in the 70s. It's called How to Read a Person Like a Book. Make sure to check that out. But that's what this experiment is right here. We're going to try an experiment first experiment was about me using manipulation to cause two people on stage to do what I wanted them to do. This one's the opposite. This one, whoever I get for this, it's going to be totally free choice, but it'll be about me trying to read their body posture, their nonverbal cues, that kind of thing. And for this, I need somebody who does a whole lot of reading. Who out there reads a whole bunch of books? You do a lot of reading in the maroon shirt. What do you like to read? Science fiction, nerd. I'm one to talk. I'm a huge fan of Orson Scott Card, the guy who wrote Ender's Game and some other, none of you guys care. Now, I might want to use you for this experiment, but first I got to make sure you and I are on the same psychic wavelength. So if you would stand up right where you are, nice and loud, so everyone can hear. What is your name?
Chris Conner.
Chris. That is correct. Chris. Even the most conservative estimates say there are 500,000 words in the English language. If you were to think of any word, and I predicted that exact word, we'd have something just short of a miracle on our hands, wouldn't we, Chris? Chris, I want you to think of any word in the English language. You got one? Yes. Excellent. Before the show even started, Chris, I wrote on the back of this card a psychic prediction. Chris, just to clear things up, do you happen to know what I've written on the back of this card?
Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, no. Correctly. Don't applaud for that. You'll just get more of that behavior. Chris, I don't want to jip you. I really do want to do an ESP experiment. Would you mind joining us up here on stage? Let's give Chris a big round of applause as he joins us up here on stage. Chris, I want you to have a seat right here. Actually, I'll put you over here on this side. And here's what I want you to do, bud. If I asked you to think of a word right up here on stage, there's actually only about 100 words you're most likely to come up with. To help you be as totally fair as possible, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a freer choice. I, right here in Austin, Texas, grabbed 3 books everybody's heard of, if not actually read. So some people, I figure, are into mysteries or scary books. So I grabbed Stephen King's The Shining. Chris, have you read it?
Yes.
You have. That's good. 1 for 2. Second of all, some people are into mysteries, so I grabbed The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. Chris, did you see the movie? But you've heard of,
I've heard
close enough. And thirdly, some people are into fantasy nerds. So I grabbed my favorite Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Chris, what? Get out of town. What kind of self-respect, that's all right. Which of these 3 books do you want to use for our little experiment?
Da Vinci Code.
Okay, any particular reason you're going with that one?
It was in the middle.
It was in the middle. Now I am going to give you the chance once and only once to change your mind and go with either of the other 2 books. Do you want to change your mind? Are you absolutely sure? Because this is the only chance you get. Because tonight when you go to bed, I want you to be like, that goddamn magician did give me another chance. This is your only chance. All right. I want you to take that book, riffle through those pages, stop on any page you want out of the entire book. Let me know once you found a page you like, but don't say which one it is. You got one?
Got it.
Excellent. I want you to let your eyes dance up and down that page till they land on a big, fat, interesting $3 word. Not a character name or a chapter heading. Those are too easy to figure out. I want an interesting word. You got one?
Sure.
Excellent. Remember that word. Close the book. Now what we've done is about the fairest way to pick a word. You got 3 books, hundreds of thousands of words. You picked a book, you picked a page, you picked a word. I'm going to try to figure out your word. And to help me out, I want you to start by thinking of the first letter of this word. And I want you to think of an animal that begins with the same letter as this word. You got one?
Sure.
Excellent. It's like a 4-legged animal. This is me being a 4-legged animal. This is not a dance I just made up. That's all right. Focus on that animal. Project it over here. Good. Good. Got it. Got it. For the first time, Chris, what 4-legged animal are you thinking of?
Fox.
A fox? Correctly predicted. I'm a fox. Do me a favor, Chris. I want you to face over to that way here because I think I've got enough to go on right now. You've given me a lot. You've been. I've noticed that you picked a very spry, a very excitable creature, and I'm going to make my prediction in kind of an unusual way. As far as I know, this is the only way somebody's actually done this before. I appear to have a little bit of feedback. Let me see if I'm still connected to the internet and if we're in trouble or not. I'm going to Twitter out a word here. All right, and let me actually click send. We'll see if it works. All right, some of you guys should have a word. I don't know if I got it right. I don't know if I got it wrong. Just to be absolutely sure, though, I'm going to actually jot it down on this piece of paper as well, because not everybody has. Shh! Don't tell him. Don't tell him. All right, I got the mic right here. Oh, did you check, you bastard? It didn't come up. Thank good. Very good, very good, very good. All right, and unfortunately, I'm the only one mic. I need you to lean into my mic and nice and loud say what word you were thinking of.
Flabbergasted.
And that's the exact word that piped into my mind as well. Let's have a huge round of applause for Chris. He did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. That's your very own fox here, Chris. There we go. That's your fox to take with you. All right, guys, and that's it as far as this presentation. You guys want to do some Q&A? How are we doing on time? How much time do we got left here? What's a domain smack? Well, in short, domains are so ridiculously cheap through our sponsor at GoDaddy.com.
Oh, they're not paying us, so I will skip this part. But anyway, domain smacks were cool.
One, make sure to use that code SCAM3. That does 2 things. It gets you the good price, and more importantly, it keeps me in business. All right, we got a mic right here in the middle. Questions about Scam School, questions about any of the stuff that I set up here on stage, anything goes? Go on, right here, come on up here. Who we got here? What's your name?
I'm Daryl.
What's it, Daryl?
Yep.
Excellent. Daryl, what's your question, bud?
What do you think about John Edward?
What do I think about John Edward? I think the fine fellows at South Park's nailed it. He is, in fact, the biggest douche in the universe. Now, I mean, essentially, he's doing the same stuff I'm doing up here. He's truly one of the bad guys who's using psychological manipulation in order to trick people into believing that he's talking to their dead relatives. Worst of all, he does it in a chicken shit way, where he clearly is profiting from making these people believe that he's talking to their relatives, but then he sticks on a little tiny disclaimer at the end of each show saying, for entertainment purposes only. I'm not actually saying any of this is true. And so, you know, that's, by the way, you know, I don't think he has a show on right now, but he actually, and this is all stuff I heard. Legally, I have to state that this is all my opinion, and I could be totally wrong, but nowadays he does private readings for $5,000 a pop and says he has a 6-month waiting list. And he claims that the reason is because he's so popular, he could not possibly get to a sit down with you for six whole months. Me, crazy skeptic, maybe a bit of a douche, it occurs to me that if I had a budget of $5,000 and a head start of 6 months, there's some very impressive facts that I could tell you by the time we actually sat down together. Question?
How did you come up with your image?
How did I come up with my image? Sonic Boom. That's my people. That's it. That was the answer. No, there's I think all of us in the early 90s wanted to look like Guile from Street Fighter, and it only took like 8 years for me to finally get it down. So video game imagery, anime, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Right over here.
Has Has one of your attempts ever gone spectacularly bad?
Has one of my attempts ever gone spectacularly bad? There's a video going around the internet of what appears to be Brian Brushwood screwing up a certain knife trick. Has anyone seen this video? A few of you guys? Yeah, that video is fake. I did it as a gag for a friend of mine. Everything in the show has taken a little bite out of me. I burned myself eating fire. One of the most embarrassing things is to bleed on stage, which I've experienced several times. That had a connotation I didn't mean when I just said that. I break a 30-pound brick over my head, and I've had it, cut me on the way down. And the answer is yes. Everything has gone spectacularly wrong. I'm a terrible magician. Right here in the front row.
What happens when two of you guys get together with the same skills?
When you say you guys, you mean magicians. That's.
USDA special skills.
It's a bit of a wiener measuring contest. It's a little bit sad, to be honest. Magicians have a tendency to be like, well, do you know this one? And look, I made the card flip that way. And it's a little bit difficult for me to palate that. I tend to want to, hey, let's go to the bar instead. But most magicians, when they meet each other, it's constant one-upsmanship. You know what I'm talking about, right, Kelly? Yeah, Right here.
A lot of what you talk about, you hear it also in people like Neil Strauss, people in the pickup artist school. What do you think of kind of that whole, I guess, underworld, if you want to call it that?
The questions about Neil Strauss, the game, the pickup artist, that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, I tried to get him involved in this presentation because I think he has a very unique perspective coming from the outside, coming in. I think like anything, these are tools that can be used for good or for evil. I think there are a lot of people who are very kind of turtled up. They're in their social shell, and the game, for the first time, suggested that there is a predictable set of things you can do to get an outcome that you like. And as a result, these people go out and for the first time actually try to meet other people, and a lot of positive things happen. On the other side, there are people who feel like other people are toys to be played with, and of course, I think that's terrible. So I loved reading the game. If you guys haven't read it, read the game by Neil Strauss. Fantastic. And in fact, a lot of the material I talked about now was mentioned in the game by Dr. Robert Cialdini, or Cialdini. Influence is a phenomenal book. That's a lot of the hard science behind it. But I guess my short answer is, what do I think of it? It's whatever you make of it. It's use it for good, use it for evil. I don't see anything inherently wrong with knowing about the way, how to manipulate people and the way the human mind responds to different things. You're talking about, to be honest, it's the opposite. You're saying, can you go into performance mode and then go out of performance mode? Certainly when I'm on stage, everything's at heightened alert. I'm paying attention to all the nonverbal cues and that kind of thing. I think you build up a certain level of unconscious competence. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the four. You've got conscious incompetence, where you can't do it and you know you can't do it. You've got conscious competence, where you can do it and you know you can do it, but you know when you're doing it. You're turning it on purpose, which is what you're talking about. And then you have unconscious competence, where it's on all the time. And I only gave three. Apparently I screwed up that metaphor already. But that's what you're talking about. You do reach a certain level of conscious competence all the time, or unconscious competence all the time. But certainly there are times you turn it on. Right here.
How do you keep yourself from being the victim without appearing rude?
That's a very, very good question. How do you keep yourself from being a victim without appearing rude? That's part of what these guys rely upon, and part of it is having your defense mechanisms already laid out in front of you. You know when you see something. A lot of times we have more advanced warning before we're put in these situations than we would necessarily think, and you can see somebody being harassed right in front of you or whatever. You've got a time limit. You know he's about to come up and give something to you. One is when you're aware that's reciprocation. In order for that to work, you have to accept something. You've got to take that flower. You've got to take that something in order to feel obligated to give them money afterwards. So keep yourself out of the way in the very beginning. If you find yourself embroiled, what you can do is what people call pattern interruptions. Come out of nowhere and shake them up. Best way to do that is to ask an out-of-the-blue question. For example, they're in the middle of doing some kind of hard sales pitch, and you suddenly say, "Are you familiar with Robert Cialdini's book, Influence?" And then I'll say, no. Oh, he talks about fixed action patterns. It's really interesting, stuff like reciprocation, blah, 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 blah. And you go in there, and then before he has his chance to respond, you're like, what did you have for breakfast today? And then bacon and eggs, fantastic. Is there a restaurant around here? Well, yes, there is. Okay, I'll be right back, and off you go. Remember that the person asking the questions is in charge of the conversation, and there's always techniques and tricks you can use to go in all different directions. Right here.
Is there a trick that you do that you think constantly is sort of the top, like shock and awe?
It depends on the context. There are certain times I get hired for religious institutions and routines that I think are hilarious, maybe not so much appropriate for those audiences. You certainly get shock and awe in those situations. But I would say if you're familiar with it, I don't know if any of you guys saw the New York show, the Scam School Live in New York. I'm doing a routine now called EVP where I make a ghost appear on everyone's cell phone. I don't do a damn thing during that. I just sit back and tell a ghost story and laugh at everyone when they get scared. So that's easily my favorite routine right now. Do you have a question?
It's not really a question. Could I just expose one of your scams real quick?
No, you may not, but thank you very much for being courteous. Yeah, no, you don't get up and tell people how my magic tricks are done.
It wasn't magic. It was it's pertaining to how you condition people.
Oh, good. Oh no, this is a compliment. Okay, no, I thought, because I get these people who are like, Brian, would you mind if I exposed how all your tricks are done? No, please, go ahead if you've got something to share.
So you talk about getting people to like you, you get about reciprocation, giving something. When you first walked in, on the screen it said, follow me on Twitter, I'm going to do something in the end, you have to be a part of it, you have to see it. You automatically get a whole room of people to follow you, you give a speech, they like you, then they keep you, then you tweet out the thing, and then everybody goes home and you got 2,000 more followers.
Oh, how did that happen? Interesting. What an unexpected side benefits. I wish I had thought of that. Any other questions? Yeah, right here.
Did you try to get a cab last night?
Did I try to get a cab? Oh my God. Okay, first of all, screw you, Chris Lazinski. Screw you, Kelly Sutton. Your party was way too far away. I ended up running 3 miles home in the rain
To a cab that didn't stop, right?
Oh yeah, and the guy actually slowed down to roll down the window and said, okay, well I'm full, thank you, and off he went.
I was in the cab and I was wondering why you didn't, how you scammed your way in.
Touché, sir. How we doing on time? I think we got a few more minutes here. Is there any other questions? What over here?
If the person asking the questions is in charge of the conversation, but you ask people to ask you questions, who is in charge of the conversation?
I believe this guy is. No, that's very zen, and I will meditate upon that and post an answer at some later day. Yes?
I know this is kind of like a weird backwards question considering your whole speech, but I wondered how much of everything you've just talked about you think is real, because in the UK there's this kind of guy who does like mentalism tricks.
Yeah, you're talking about Darren Brown, right?
But there's like a thing as to how much that's true, that it's all this psychological stuff, or is that just the 21st century way of saying, oh, I'm communing with spirits, or I have these witch-like powers? Is that just a new kind of ruse?
By the way, if you're not familiar with Darren Brown's material, he's one of the most brilliant working mentalists in the entire world. I love the stuff he's done. One of the things that he's done that has been so impressive is to change the rules of the game. Now, I'm not saying he cheats. The easy way, the sloppy way to do it is the John Edward way of get up there, take a bunch of stuff, cut it out of context, claim you have ESP, and then all of a sudden everyone gives you adoration. Darren Brown is a genius of doing 2 different performances simultaneously. He's doing one performance for the people on stage, and he's doing another performance for the audience at home, and they're both having similar but different experiences. And what's great about Darren Brown is he'll be the first person, if you come up say, hey, would you mind talking to my dead grandmother? He'd be like, the hell are you talking about? I don't have ESP. And very, very cool guy. Certainly, there are things that were happening here and now that are 100% real, and as I represent them, other things I'm using a bit of chicanery in order to illustrate a point, and unfortunately I'm not at liberty to say which is which, but I think it's very astute of you to notice that certainly that kind of thing could be going on. Any other? Oh, right here.
Could you please show me all the cards you offered me earlier?
See, look at this. Now it begins. See, this is always so awkward because after the show, people will you have to play some kind of stone face game where it's like they walk up and they just start shouting how they think stuff's done, and then they're all judging your reactions. They're like, he smiled, it's a thread. I mean, that's. Any other questions? Oh, right here.
Have you ever used your abilities in a sort of real life scenario where it was left you in a sort of ethical dilemma?
Yeah, I mean, that happens. That's a very good question. Usually it's a side effect of the question is whether or not using these abilities has put me in an ethical bind. And usually it's because, for example, with Scam School, we want to illustrate certain things. For example, we wanted to expose the short change con, which is a way of using tricky words to make people think that they're getting more money out of a situation than they actually are. But of course, the best way to illustrate that is with undercover video footage. But in order to do that, I actually have to go out and I actually have to do crime. And there are, it's a very interesting slippery slope. I try to assume at any moment anything I'm doing might suddenly have the bright light of daylight shone upon it, and then I would have to answer for exactly what I was doing. So that's sort of my weird, line that I try to stick to, if that makes sense. I don't know. Anything else? I think, oh, right here.
Yeah, I'm sure this is probably been asked already. Who does your hair?
Yeah, there's right here. If you live here in Austin, my hair is done by Shanna Dover, or Shanna Arsenaga. She just got married again. She has asked for years and years for me to tell people where I get my hair done. So that's here in Austin. But nowadays it's a whole system. We actually made a stupid YouTube video showing how it's done. If you type, idiot Brian Brushwood hair, right here.
Why does she do it?
That's it, because I pay here. Why does anybody do anything? Yeah. Anything else? I think we're about done here. Oh, right here.
Yeah, just how easily do these principles transfer to the internet when you don't have the personal contact? And if so, how do you know that it's being done to you?
Very good question. Question is, how many of these principles actually translate to being done over the internet? Certainly, whether it's over video conferencing or anytime you have some form of interaction, you're going to see these things used. You're going to see people being self-deprecating, using your name. Look at spam. That's the shortest way to look at it. The best spam actually has your name in there. It appears to be personal correspondence to you, so that's something that's going to increase your liking. It's going to be, there's lots of spam that offers some form of free gift, and of course that's reciprocation, taking advantage of you. Some of them, like the Nigerian 409, the Nigerian scams, take advantage of the authority, FAP, that's all stuff. And I think that's about it, guys. All right, guys, my name is Brian Brushwood. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys got something out of it. And that's it. You now are open to a life of crime, thanks to yours truly. Don't forget, if you have any comments, questions, or things you want to know about this panel, write me directly at brian@revision3.com. Or better yet, hash it out on the boards with us at revision3.com/scamschool. And as always, you can follow my adventures all over America at twitter.com/schwood. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you back at the bar.
Woo! That was good. That was, man, past Brian, he had some bangers. He, turns out a lot of his opinions remain his opinions today. There's some really good prescient moments talking about, some things never change, spam. That's part of the reason that my current work is so focused on the core fundamentals of human rhythms, and why if you have pulled off the scam, then you are uniquely qualified to see it coming a mile away. By the way, I posted the whiteboard for doodling in the chat. I'll do it again. Yeah, not only is spam getting very personal with AI, it's also getting very, here, let me do this. It's also getting very verbose. It's getting very good at those chatty aspects of things, which is part of the reason that the key ingredient right now is to have more in shared reality, real life events. I'm of the opinion that corporations need to have events with surprising, interesting things happen every single quarter, so that in the initial throat clearing, when you get on a Zoom call, everybody can refer, without talking about the specifics of it in one thing, in the casual handshake of how do you do, hey, what's up with this, that, and the other. Then you're able to just touch on the shared reality between those two, so that you know it's the real person. But that was great. I'm going to watch this video again and choose a different word. Yeah. the negative you did it is kind of funky. All right, so we're going to play our game. This video was posted in September 2009, part of a whole batch of them at the very beginning of the YouTube channel. And the question is, in the intervening 17 years, how many views do we think this one got? Go ahead and lock in your votes. In fact, if anyone has the URL for the scorecard that we keep track of all that, I'll go ahead and put that on there. Princess Judith makes an estimate of 42,000 views. Oh, I guess now's a good time also to check in on the lag. I would love to know whether or not YouTube has a long lag compared to Twitch or not. Oh yeah, it's Adam says 43,085. Marion G says 43,000. Banterat says 34,000. Curtis Hoffman says 13,333. Magic 51 says 49,000.6. 24,000.5. And 40,000, 32,000. Oh my gosh, this is going to be really... You guys, a lot of you guys, you're going to have to figure out which one's closest because I can't. The actual number of views is... You ready? Hold on. Hold on here. We'll do this. Oh. 43,000 views. I think we're going to have to get the exact number. 43,084. 43,084. So you guys have to tell me who was closest on that. That's crazy. And now we get to my favorite part, which is, as you guys know, the robots are... here, let's see. Marion said 43,000. If that one's the closest, we'll see. Did Adam cheat? That's the question. All right. YouTube is a dang miracle, guys. It's insane what it's able to make happen. Including the fact that it remembers every single video that you ever started ever since the beginning of YouTube, and it has a thread of everything you've ever said on every video, which will become an important theme in an upcoming episode. But for now, what I care about it is that thread goes two ways, because I can respond to 13-year-old comments like this one. Let's see. It's so sad that I found this so late in my life. Well, luckily, you had 13 years to put it into practice. Sorry, I'm late on this comment. XOXO, Brian. Boom. OMG, I've seen the documentary almost 20 times. So good. A lot of talk just about the ads. A lot of people just go straight for the ads. Anyone who knows even elementary math would know. Oh, wait a minute. Have I been running around with the... I even checked it. I didn't realize that I had left that turned on. Crazy. That's good. Anyone who knows with even elementary math would know that the circumference is diameter times pi. So the circumference is a little 3 times the diameter, much longer than you'd expect. Sure. He did the book test. Yo, you hear about the mysterious 4th book test? What the actual F word? As soon as he said the animal started with F, I immediately said that his word was going to be flabbergasted. Amazing. It's a good trick. Brian, I give you 2 thumbs up. The Ender series by Orson Scott Card is awesome. Have you read the Worthing Saga? That's a good one, too. I can't believe someone was giving you grief for putting in the times to skip the annoying ads. Ooh. Even 12 years later, I am disappointed in your post. Boom. That's as close to getting negative as I want to do. When I was overcome with a sharp pain in my stomach and began to project my stomach contents as I had such bad food at the restaurant, we then went to the emergency care and I was given some medicine that made my stomach feel better and was told to get rest. By that time, I had no way of getting my homework completed. Stuff like this may or may not work. Good luck. It's all how you use it. Sure. I've walked into the employees section of Walmart. No one questioned why I was there because I look like I should be there. Crazy how that works, right? Oh my God, I thought I'm flabbergasted. I'm serious. Amazing. Oh, Doctor. Owen. JJ Stowe for the win. It's 1 a.m. It's hard not laughing and waking the entire house. Amazing. Thanks. To you too. I guess. I don't know. I picked for circumference. Expect the unexpected. And you were right. I was in the cab and I was wondering why you didn't try to scave your way in. Pretty good dunk. Not gonna lie. If you're talking about the rotation thing, starting from the end and go backwards, you'll figure it out. I don't know. Oh, I got spikes again. That's awesome. I might have to start a Twitter account and follow him just for the Orson Scott Card reference. Did you? I tried to find it too. 3 similar ones that require to write the word down, which imprints or do some math. MySpace. Ha. I've learned from this show to pick the weird one because if it was normal, they wouldn't do it. Legit point. I'm going to do that cup trick on some friends and get some free money. How did it go? Did anyone else see Philip DeFranco in the front row around 112? I don't think that's Philip DeFranco. I think that's Kelly Sutton. Yeah, I think he missed. That is Kelly Sutton, not Philip DeFranco. How crazy that I knew that's exactly who he was talking about. Oh. Come on down. I think that's Kelly Sutton. There we go. Blah, blah, blah. Good take. I'm a fox, LOL. Chris looks like my brother's friend, Chris. I'm in 6th grade. When I don't do my homework, when teacher asks for it, is there any story to make up that they're going to say, bring it tomorrow? Okay. All right. Now we're getting into the weeds. Don't say anything you wouldn't believe. For instance, one excuse I might say. Okay. Well, those are just lies. I think we covered in another episode. The Bob trick is science. Question is real. He just added the Atlantis thing. Yep. I'm still searching for his book test. Scamstuff.com. There's a new mysterious 4th book test. Caller, you're on the air.
Your office hours still open.
Yes, indeed. You've got Brian. What's up?
you know I'm currently on a content journey, and I have one question for you.
Yes.
I'm currently debating in my head. I have decided I want to give this a 1-month test to see if the algorithm can pick it up. Here's the goal. Tell me if my thinking is correct. I'm not setting a subscriber goal number. Instead, all I'm looking to see at the end of this 1-month test is, does line go up and to the right? Not cliff high, just do I see trend line go up and to the right in subscriber count? Is that the correct metric I should be judging by?
So subscribers used to mean people, I mean, it definitely still means somebody somewhere pressed a button and said, I want more of this. Now, whether that means they're going to get more of it, that's up to the algorithm or what have you. So instead, what I tend to think of subscribers as is kind of like a peak of their interest. It's the moment that a girl gives you their phone number. Now, a girl can give you their phone number and then things cannot work out, or maybe she doesn't call you back or whatever. But that's definitely that moment of peak interest. And so it's good to get there, but that is the girl giving you the phone number is a lagging side effect of you having crushed that initial first impression. So I would encourage you to, yes, you can get a lot of phone numbers, but if they're all kind of under pressure or under duress, then those aren't going to be very good leads. Instead, I would encourage you to track two things. There are two performances you're giving. One is the performance of the title and thumbnail, and if you do it right, they're a complete thought by themselves that makes somebody look inside themselves and say, yes, please. So it could be a transactional thing like how to juggle 12 plates. And then somebody looks inside themselves and asks, is this an empty part of my life? And they say yes. So they click. So then you'll know your success with titles and thumbnails, and that will show up in click-through rates. So for every 100 times it shows it, if 5 people click on it, then your click-through rate is 5. So that is one marker of success. Then the performance began, and because everybody who is watching it has already done the first part of the performance, which is to look inside themselves and ask, am I interested in this? And then now the next metric you want to pay attention to is watch time. And then that's where you look at those retention analytics. And if like 90% is dropping off at the beginning, then that means your opening needs to be punched up or made more congruent in the next one, because whatever their expectations were, it didn't deliver. I think of that as, does this feel like payment or homework? If we reduce everything down to, is it a gift or a harvest? Then what you want to do is you just want to, now you're playing Don't Get Brodied. And then really after that, the subscribe thing ends up being, like I said, a lagging indicator of it. I would focus on those two aspects of it first. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, it does. And actually, may I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, of course.
I have noticed in my audience retention graph, very few of my the long forms, not the shorts, but the long form videos. The shorts are just clips from the long forms. The long form videos never go to 0. They keep bottoming out at the end, 30% remain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a good thing, right? Because that means I'm holding it. Like now the view count is low, which I think matters to that number.
Yeah.
But like the other people that have actually showed up, 30% are staying through the end. That's a good metric, right?
Well, certainly you want everybody to stay through the end. And what you have to worry about, like somewhere on the other side of 1,000 views or 2,000, 3,000, you reach statistical significance where it begins to reveal the platonic ideal of how good this thing is. Like with a big enough data set, this is hippie talk, but I like to think of there's some kind of perfect shape of the story and how it belongs in the universe. And it kind of reveals, like if you see a dip on one part where an ad is, say, then what that reveals to you is all things being equal, that doesn't belong there, but this many people are tolerating it. When you get to lower numbers, then it becomes a non-zero number of, like, let's say you're looking at retention and there's 100 views on the video and 30% are keeping to the end. If there's only 100 views on the video, then you have to factor in like is it possible that nobody's paying attention and there's sort of like a flat baseline? That could be true. But here's the thing I would ask yourself, why are 30% staying to the end? Are they staying to the end because they're not really watching it? They turned it on and they left the room? Are they staying to the end because you placed something very important at the end that made their day? Is it the end of a payoff?
I think so. The goal of the material is to create like a lo-fi just hangout space, right? This is the type of thing you turn it on and it's just on and you're just vibing to it for whatever you're doing. You're cleaning to it. You're just lying on the couch to it. For me, it's my version was I'm high on an edible. Versions of these type of videos end up showing up in my algorithm when I'm just high on the couch. That's so like if I'm hitting they turned it on and it just stayed on crowd, I've hit the right crowd.
That's great. Okay, so now, and this is the important part. You've cracked your ideal viewer. You know exactly who this is for, and then that means you can let go of everyone who it's not. And now the more you tell yourself stories, you're going to look at the data, you're going to tell yourself stories about who and why, and weirdly, it doesn't really matter whether your stories are factually accurate or not. What matters is that they map one for one so that your internal understanding exactly matches the expected output in the external world. And so in this case, let's assume you're doing it. You're finding your stoners. Now here's the question. Now you get to ask yourself questions like, what is something that person would really, really like? And see if you could put it at the beginning or at the end. Do they want to talk about the fact that they're high, or do they want to talk about other things? Do they want a calm voice? Do they want a staccato voice? And then the more you key in on what that ideal, Stephen King calls it constant reader. In AM radio, all the various single mic folks are good at kind of knowing who they're talking to in the ideal. The more you key in on that, the better it's going to go for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. May I plug the thing before I go?
Yeah, of course.
YouTube.com/MerrillBar or search Merrill Musings. Merrill's Musings. Just search my name. That's it. Thank you very much.
MERRILL BARR.
Yes,
2 R's, 2 I's, 2 L's. Oh, wait. No. 2 R's.
2 R's.
2 L's.
2 L's.
And then
2 R's.
2 R's. 2 L's. Yeah. Yep. There we go. All right. Take care, Merrill.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye. Right on, man. Look at that. We even got productive today. We got some classic office hours in there. Speaking of which, I got to get the day started. Is 10 minutes long enough to be a lo-fi hangout space? ASMR. Let me check in on you guys. Got it. Could be started the video, walked off. I watched Merrill's videos to the end because I'm waiting for the twist. That's pretty good. That's great. All right, gang. Good to see everyone. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow, if you're in Austin, come on out to Founders Hangout. Yeah. Bye, gang.